What's going on, y'all? Marley Cross 316 back with another comic book flashback, and today we are looking at the X-Men issue number 94. This issue came out in August of 1975, and today we're going to continue the storyline here. We saw in last issue, which was Giant Size X-Men number 1, we saw how Professor Xavier recruited a new team of X-Men. And now in this issue today, we're going to look at their very first mission. They have returned to the X Mansion, and we're also going to try to figure out exactly what Professor Xavier is going to do with all of these 13 X-Men. We got the original X-Men team as well as these newcomers. So what exactly is going to happen here in this issue? Before we go ahead and get started, go ahead and give this video a like. And as always, subscribe to this channel to see more exciting content just like this. So as always, this is brought to you by Chris Claremont, who is the writer of this issue, as well as Lynn Wine doing the plotting and editing. We have Dave Cockrum as the artist, Bob McLeod, the inker, and then Phil Rachelson, the colorist, Tom Orzechowski, is a hard last name to say. He's the letterer. And today's title is the Doom Smith Scenario. So we're going to be looking at that today. We have Count Nafaria, as you saw on the cover of this issue. He's going to be the main villain for this issue. He's an old X-Men villain, and he's making his reappearance here in this issue. So we start out the cover page here. We have Professor Xavier. He has gathered the entire group of X-Men together, and he's just wanting to just discuss exactly what's been going on since their battle with Krakoa. As we recall on Giant Size X-Men number 1, they fought a living island. And so now let's see exactly what happens here. We have Professor Xavier saying he's proud of all his X-Men, old and new, but then he's cut short by Sunfire here. Sunfire has had enough with the team. We know from Giant Size X-Men number 1 that Sunfire has a temper, and he just does not trust anybody, and so he tells Professor Xavier that he's done with the X-Men. He's returning back to Japan. He has his duty there to serve his country and his emperor. So we see the exit of Sunfire right off the bat. One member of this new X-Men gone, just like that. And so Professor Xavier's asking the other X-Men, who else wants to leave? Anybody else? Storm says she's going to stay. Wolverine says that he's going to stay. They ask Banshee. Banshee at first thinks about it. He's like, maybe, I need to return back to where I'm from. He's an ex-cop. But then Cyclops gives him more reason to stay by saying, look, if you stay, then you'll feel belonged. You'll have friends that can help you, and you can be a part of a team. And so Banshee agrees to stay. But then we see the most shocking thing from this issue, and that is the original cast of X-Men. We have Angel, we have Jean Grey, Iceman. They're going to leave the team. They've all come to a decision that they don't want to stay anymore. They felt that they've grown up, and they came into the X-Men as teenagers. Now they've grown up, and they feel that it's time for them to move on from the X-Men. So that's the most shocking thing from this issue is Professor Xavier. You could see on his face he's totally shocked as to what he's heard, but we see the original X-Men, including Polaris and Havoc here, they're all going to leave the team. And they want to know exactly what is Cyclops going to do, because he was also part of the original team. Is he going to leave as well? We'll come to find out here as night comes. Cyclops can't sleep. He's thinking about it. It's a hard decision, but he comes to the decision in the morning that he's got to stay. He's the leader of the X-Men. He's always been an X-Men. And so here we see just an emotional goodbye here with Jean Grey, who was also dating Cyclops at the time. He says goodbye to her. He tells her he loves her. And so there goes the original X-Men. We have Jean Grey, Angel, Iceman, Havoc, Polaris. They're gone. They've left. And right off the bat, We have the new X-Men team. They're going to get straight to work here by training in the Danger Room. So Cyclops introduces the new group to the Danger Room. This is where the X-Men do all of their training, and we see how dangerous it could be. I mean, this Danger Room is called a Danger Room for a reason, as this is supposed to train and enhance their abilities. It helps them control their powers so that when they get into real combat, they will be able to work as a cohesive team. And so right off the bat, we have Cyclops here. I mean, he's like a drill sergeant, as you can tell on this cover right here. I mean, this splash page, he is like a drill sergeant. He is angry. He is harsh. He's merciless. I mean, he is wearing these guys out. And what happens here, as we see, is that when you push people to the extreme limit, there can be a point of exhaustion. And we see right here, right off the bat, that John Proudstar, who is Thunderbird, he burns his leg on this laser. Cyclops calls out, says, "Look out for the lasers. Why are you so careless?" So Cyclops and Thunderbird getting a little altercation here, and Professor Xavier breaks them up, saying, "Look, Thunderbird, you need to go to the infirmary. Cyclops, report to my office." So right off the bat, it's not looking good with the cohesiveness of this team. There's some trust issues going on right here. And here we go to chapter 2, and we're going to be introduced to Count Nafaria here. We haven't seen him since issue number 22 and 23, and how Count Nafaria tried to overtake Washington. Now we're going to see exactly what he's up to today. This is the NORAD, North American Air Defense Command, and we see that he's going to ambush this Air Force Command, this little base here that prizes all of the American missiles. This is the missile base. And so we see from this little gift that's been gift wrapped and given to these people, we see these 5 strange figures come from this portal, and they all look alien and like they are strange creatures, but they're going to be the servants of none other than Count Nafaria right here. These guys just attack the Air Force Command. They try to get the police to come in. Police can't stop them. And then we see Count Nafaria. He makes his entrance, and so these are his servants here, and they're going to do his dirty work. And so what is Count Nafaria really up to in this issue? I mean, at first, way back in the day, he wanted to take over Washington. Now he wants to pretty much take over the world. And so what better way to do that than by controlling America's missile systems? And so that's what he's going to do. He's going to ask all of these nations to pay a ransom, and if not, he's going to just launch these missiles. And I mean, it's going to be like a World War III type of scenario here. And so this is where he's talking about he escaped prison. He did all his old debts and used Magia science to recreate stronger allies. And these are his stronger allies right here, these 5 creatures here. And so now we return back to the X-Mansion. Cyclops is thinking about the altercation he had with Thunderbird. We have Nightcrawler come in. Nightcrawler's trying to encourage Cyclops, and then Professor Xavier immediately calls them through a mental command to come to the briefing room. So Cyclops and Nightcrawler meet with the others, and then they see this video from Count Nafaria. He has overcome the Valhalla base, the NORAD Commander Center, and he's wanting a ransom from all of these different nations. They need to pay within pretty much 24 hours, or he's going to pretty much launch America's entire inventory of nuclear missiles. And we see a funny thing right here with Wolverine. He's like, "Nice guy. Wonder what he does for an encore." So it's pretty funny there. So Beast is the one that gives them the message, that relays the message to them. Beast at this point is working for the Avengers. He's not an X-Men. And he's also shocked to see the newer X-Men that are in the briefing room. So Cyclops is like, all right, guys, we got to go. We got to stop this guy. And he wants Thunderbird here to stay behind, but Thunderbird argues. And he says, no, I'm going. So Thunderbird goes on the mission with the X-Men, even though he's been injured from that altercation in the danger room. And so right off the bat, the X-Men are confronted by the Air Force. And so the Air Force is pretty much like, if you don't identify who you are, we're going to shoot you down. And so Cyclops identifies who he is. He talks to General Thunderbolt Ross on the intercom here. Thunderbolt Ross is pretty much relaying what's been going on with Count Nafaria, and he tells Cyclops and the team that they have about 52 minutes to stop this Doomsmith, because the Doomsmith, if it does not get shut down, then there's no stopping these missiles. These missiles will immediately be launched into the air. And so that is very dangerous. So the X-Men are given a limited amount of time to stop Count Nafaria from launching these missiles. And so Count Nafaria sees on his screen here the Blackbird, which is the X-Men. He knows immediately who they are because he's fought the X-Men in the past. And so Count Nafaria launches some missiles to the X-Men to try to strike them down. Cyclops is like, get ready, folks. This is going to be a really crazy crash, or I mean, this is going to get your stomach here. So he's trying to evade all these missiles here. He's able to pretty much knock out 2 of the missiles, but one of the other missiles, he doesn't get out of the way in time, and it actually lands on the Blackbird. It crashes into the Blackbird, and so now Cyclops is left with one thing left to do. He has to press the ejection button. Count Nafaria is like, dang it, how many times will I have to try to kill these mutants until they finally stay dead? So Count Nafaria, he smashes his hand on this other button here, and it fires this emerald coruscations here, and it bathes the lifting body. I mean, it just pretty much enwraps the entire Blackbird, and it just, I guess it just destroys the Blackbird. And so now the X-Men are falling in the air, and that's how we stop right here. We end on a cliffhanger here. Can the X-Men survive this? I mean, fall. I mean, this is thousands of feet right in the air. Can they be able to survive from falling to their deaths? Will they be able to do that, folks? That's what we're going to have to find out next issue, number 95, folks. We're going to find out in issue number 95 what happens to the X-Men here. Until next time, keep reading comic books, and I'll see you later.